Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Mask of the Betrayer, where we just finished playing Mastermind against a bard. I called it something else, but it was playing Mastermind. Okay, so we'll go and deal with the next dreamscape pit. There's no telling where this will take us. You've seen this gate often in your life. Sometimes you've even seen it when you are awake. Oh, right, I forgot this was a thing. Ahriman.
That black portal before us. It is not something native to our world, or even the realm of dreams.
It began here. I stood at the betrayer's side, at my brother's side. They were gathered around us, celestials, dragons, mortals, both alive and dead. Did the room expand to hold such a host, or is my memory too small?
Hmm. You're Ahriman, Red Wizard of Thay. You're the one who usurped Sophia's
I was
academy.
not always a red wizard. The last time I laid eyes on that door, I was nothing but a younger brother, the shadow of a better and wiser man. We stand before the betrayer's gate, a door that should not be. Rest your eyes upon its edges and its grooves. Watch them carefully, and you can sense the wrongness. Death and life flow together in that simple slab of rock. Pass through it, and you will see the place of final judgment.
You mean the Fugue Plane, the City of Judgment?
Yes, the Grey City, and its wall of screaming souls. Passage to that forlorn realm is granted only by death. But this gate provides another way, a forbidden way. A way that my brother opened with his silver blade. I swear to you, if I could take it back, if I could make him see.
That's not strictly true. You can get there without being dead.
Sophia? No. Wait, it only seems to be her. But so close. So...
You? Make him see? Ahriman, you flitting shadow. You are nothing but a leaf born by a great storm.
I thought you were trapped, chased by those dream creatures. What are you doing here?
Ahriman, why do you hunt me? You would destroy everything your brother strove for, render his sacrifice meaningless.
Not to destroy, to set things right. How could I choose my brother over my god? Yes, I was a feeble, flitting thing when I passed through that door. I was born by my brother's storm, but I learned from his folly. He set mortal love above the gods, so he paid the price. And we paid with him, you and I.
Be cautious. I think choosing one over the other will lead to bloodshed in this dream.
You are hunting this woman because your god commands it.
Yes, I faltered once for love of my brother, but the lesson of the crusade and of my brother's suffering has reforged my will and my faith. Understand this, I cannot betray my god again.
You are both suffering, but the fault is not your own. Would the betrayer have wanted this strife between you?
No, he wouldn't.
What my brother desired, how can that matter? My brother wanted to uproot the plains and tear down the gods from on high. Suffering cannot be avoided. It can be minimized, yes, but the universe cannot be torn asunder for the sake of one soul.
It wouldn't be. It's Merkel's doing. It's not the. I know it's been worked into the foundations of Faerun, but it's only in Faerun. It's not. It's hardly the universe. However you justify yourself, you've betrayed your brother's trust.
No, some choices, they are simply wrong. Love may make them more difficult to resist, but they are still wrong. My brother's quest was selfish. He did not consider the consequences to those who followed in his wake. And she is selfish too. She sows suffering in love's name. Let the heavens fall and roast in the pits of hell. If love was served by such as this, she would care not.
This
Okay.
wound won't heal soon.
Are you punching me? You're wizards. I certainly miss my true seeing now. That did not last long. Maybe you should not have stood in the middle of the,
Greetings.
And love overcomes, as it always must. Thank you. That is all. The exit to the coven is revealed again, but the meaning of this dream eludes me. I have been told that it's possible at the end of this to rework the way the planes work in Faerun after this situation. You can reaffirm it, or you can go along with it. Stay here. There's a human wizard, and there's a mind flayer. Let's go to the human wizard. Travel to the wizard's prison. Ah, there's got to be something I'm overlooking. Something oh, you, there. You have to help me. Of course, what can I do? Perhaps, of course, what can I do for you? This vile creature claims to have the rights to my soul. Why would it claim that? Well, it says that it was all in the contract I signed. Wait, you signed a contract with a devil? No, that is, I did sign a small agreement, so yes, I suppose, yes. What were the terms of this agreement? Not my soul, that's for sure. We simply agreed on a number of favors he would grant me if I did certain things for him. Do you have a copy of this agreement? Yes, but I need to keep looking through it. I'm sure he has another copy on his person, just to taunt me with in case I lose mine. What kind of favors was he supposed to grant you? Oh, a little of this, a smidgen of that. It's all in the contract, I'm sure. And what did you have to do for him? As you might imagine, nothing you'd care to mention in the presence of a paladin of Tyr. If you simply must know the gritty details, I'm sure they're all in the contract. Do you have a copy of this agreement? Yes, but I need to keep looking through it. I'm sure he has another copy of his person just to taunt me with in case I lose mine. I'll go ask to see his copy then. Right. Greetings, my friend. I hope our good friend Faras here hasn't concerned you overmuch with his talk of our business relationship. He says you have a claim on his soul. Is there any truth to that? Well, yes, but that is only because I do have a claim to his soul. It's all explicitly stated in the contract. Do you have a copy of this contract? Of course. Here, you may peruse it at your leisure. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask. I'll do just that. Okay, here's the contract. You can examine it. This is where I started dying, by the way. Once upon being fully unrolled, this scroll reaches a length of approximately 30 feet. It features a tiny, precise script written in reddish ink, presumably blood, on a material that you'd rather not consider too carefully. While little of the writing is in a language you cannot decipher, the majority of it is written in common. Oh, joy. There we go. Roll it out. After unfurling the scroll, you realize it would take far too long to read it in its entirety. Perhaps you would be better to find a relevant section. Let's start at the beginning. Maddeningly long piece of text starts the document by declaring the omnipotence of someone named Asmodeus and declaring the inevitable victory of the devils over their long-hated foes, the rivals. By the way, this is how devils collect new recruits. They get contracts with mortals. Afterwards, that mortal soul goes into the hells and becomes the lowest form of devil, and if they survive that, they become higher forms of devils. And the cycle continues. Demons are a little bit more blatantly predatorial. They often snag people waiting on the fugue plane who haven't been claimed by who do not have the protection of a faith in a god. Um, anyway, here we go. Further on, you find a passage that pertains to the matter at hand. I, Faras Vindelhelm, do enter into a binding agreement with the devil Inzabur for an unspecified length of time. The terms of the agreement exist in accord with the tenets laid out in the Pact Primeval, which states that the text continues on for many pages, citing a document of some considerable importance to devils. But yeah, the demons, if they can find you vulnerable and in a way bring your soul down to the abyss, they will try to torture you until you become like them. You might resist for centuries. Most people eventually give in. There are a few captured, pristine, virtuous souls that have never given in, that are trapped in the hells in Faerun. Here we go. Oh, we've already read this. Find the part about what favors Faras bargained for. The section regarding what favors were granted is located a few pages into the document. A short passage prefaces the section, followed by a bit of text much smaller than the rest, after which the favors themselves are explained. Read the preface. The Signy, I don't know exactly how to pronounce that, agrees that the following favors are to be had upon completion of the services mentioned. The type, number, and degree of the services to be rendered are not negotiable after the signing of the contract. Read the smaller text. Each favor shall be granted but once and have a duration of 1 year, renewable each time the signee fulfills the obligations of a new favor. Should a favor's duration run out without being renewed, it can be granted again for another year, starting from the date the signee fulfills the obligations for another item on the list. Right. Oh, I'll give you this bit of it. It'll only last a year unless you do these other things. Read the part where the favors are explained. There are 5 favors listed total, and each specifies the condition required for it to be granted. They seem to have an order of sorts, with the later favors requiring more from the signee. First favor. For the first favor of one powerful magical item unspecified, the signee must inflict pain on a helpless being. Read the details of the second. For the favor of increased skill in one area of endeavor, the signee must perform a mischievous act upon a hated foe. Reread the details of the third favor. For the favor of a wish of limited proportions, the signee must cast a spell of evil nature. Read the details of the fourth favor. For the favor of increased mental ability, the signee must cause grievous harm to another being. And details of the fifth and final favor. Finally, for the favor of supreme magical power, the signee must cause directly or indirectly the death of another. So, each one only lasts a year, but it can be renewed if you pick up the next favor. Which means this would last a maximum of 5 years. You should not do all the tasks in all at once, because to maximize your time, you would end up needing to stretch it out. Plus, that's set up to encourage you to eventually do the different tasks and go along the path. So here we go. I already read this contract, of course, because like I said, this is the part where I started dying a lot, and this is where I reloaded and started over. Go to a different part of the contract. Oh, let's reread the favor section. I've already read that. Skip to another part of the contract. Skip to the end. The final part of the scroll is more mind-numbing legal jargon, before ending with signature that clearly reads Faras Vindelhelm. Below that is a long string of neatly written symbols. Slightly above the signature, you notice a section of incredibly small text. We'll get to that in a moment. We'll examine the string of symbols. Symbols are arranged in a neat row and appear to be comprised of sharply written lines and odd geometric patterns. After a few moments, you realize that what you're looking at can only be Inzabur's signature. And the tiny text. The text is written so small that you can barely make it out. If you hadn't been carefully examining the document, it's likely you would have missed it altogether. It reads, "Furthermore, the signee agrees that all services be rendered unto the provider, and all favors for such services granted in response, that the signee's immortal soul becomes the sole property of the provider for all eternity." Right. So, once you've completed all the tasks and gotten all the favors, your soul belongs to him. Well, he's wrong, right? It doesn't... Hey, that's a nice portrait. It doesn't say anything about giving it my soul I made. Sure that none of the things I had to do for him involved my soul in any way. Actually, I'm afraid it does say something about your soul. It does? Where? Right here, at the bottom. It says that if you complete all the terms of the contract, your soul becomes his property. Oh gods, I didn't even see that. I just checked the conditions and signed the stupid paper. You mean you didn't even read the whole thing? You just signed a contract with the devil. Are you mad? Well, you don't have to be so accusatory. I'll admit, that wasn't the brightest thing I'd ever done. No argument here. There. How did you get into this mess to begin with? It all began several years ago. I was one of the 2 apprentices under the tutelage of Master Wizard Galban of Teflon. At first my studies went well, but then the other apprentice, Ithias, began to pull ahead of me. Are you sure you simply didn't start falling behind? Well, maybe a little. Ithias was always, "Hey, why am I telling you any of this? My soul's on the line here. I can't waste any time." Fine, fine. Continue the story. The master began to get upset that he had to teach us at different rates, and he started assigning me menial tasks so that he could spend more time with Ithias. It became so unbearable that I went to look for a new teacher. And what happened then? Our prospective teacher who lived nearby was a summoner, but I arrived early to our meeting, and he hadn't returned home yet. Instead, I found that thing in the circle in the center of the room waiting for me. Oh dear, did the summoner ever arrive by any chance? I don't know. While I was waiting, I began talking to Inzabur over there, who was sympathetic to my plight and promised to help me with my problems. I rather suspect the summoner didn't get very far. I'm sure he did. Is that when you signed the contract? No, I returned home, but Inzabar began to visit me whenever Galban and Ithias went out, and we eventually came to an arrangement. And what kind of arrangement was this? Nothing too drastic. The first contract he offered me was what you expect from a devil, and with my soul as the price and everything. The first contract? He later came to me with another contract, promising it was much different than the last one, and this one only required small favors on my part, and nothing was absolutely required of me. Yes, that sounds suspicious. Naturally, I also had some misgivings, but I couldn't find anything wrong with the contract and signed it. But you said you didn't read the entire contract. Minor technicality. I've read enough accounts and treatises to have learned how to scan a document quickly, and did so. If anything, I gave the contract more time than I usually would have. Which was obviously still not enough. Yes, well, things went all right at first. I fulfilled a couple of the conditions in the contract and was rewarded as promised. My studies began to pick up and my situation got better. Let me guess. Then it all went terribly wrong. Not quite. Sometime later, the favors I had earned vanished. My studies plummeted once more, only it was worse this time because both Ithias and Master Galban suspected I had been cheating somehow. There was a stipulation in the contract that stated favors would only last a year, you know. There was? Hells, I must have missed that part too. If only I'd never signed the stupid thing. No arguments there. So, the benefits disappeared. What did you do about it? I summoned Inzabar. Unfortunately, Ithias burst into my room and caught me talking to him and immediately began threatening to tell the master. And what did you do? Without thinking, I cast a spell at him. He wasn't so quick to run to master after being doused with acid. Fortunately, I had an area silence spell memorized as well. You wouldn't believe how much he screamed. And I hope Galban didn't come back right then. No, not right then, but he found me eventually. And you killed him, right? No, I didn't kill anyone. What makes you think I would do something like that? Well, let's see. You consort with devils. You burn people with acid, but not to mention. Oh, enough, so I'm not a paladin. You're very far from a paladin. But I didn't kill my master. You must believe me. Okay, assuming... What happened next, assuming you didn't kill him? Well, he said I was dangerous and he began chanting a spell. I didn't know what to do. I closed my eyes and cowering when I heard a crackling of energy and then a harumph of surprise. A harumph. Yes, it's a harumph. It's that sound that old men often make to express displeasure or surprise. Fascinating. Did something happen to him? I opened my eyes and he was gone. I searched the area where he had been standing and only found some dust. I was scared out of my mind. And then I was staying at an inn about a day's ride from Teflon when I found a letter in my pack. It said that the terms of our contract were complete and that my soul would become Inzabur's property upon my death. And so now you're trying to get out of it. Hells yes, I'm trying to get out of it. Wouldn't you? I suppose so. Do you have any clues how to get out of the contract? Very little, I'm afraid. I've been researching infernal contracts for weeks now with little progress due to the subject matter. People look at you differently when you tell them you want to find out about making pacts with devils, you know. Have you discovered anything useful at all? Only a little bit about Batizu lore from anyone of real authority. I've found some interesting things in the stories written about infernal contracts, however. Okay, tell me what you have learned about Batizu lore. Well, the few accounts I've read by summoners crazy enough to have frequent dealings with Batizu say they are sticklers for details, and always try to do things within the rules they set for themselves. There's nothing wrong with doing things by the rules. It would seem you share the Batizu mindset. Just because I like to be organized does not mean I sympathize with devils. No need to be defensive. I was just pointing out an odd coincidence. Right. So about the stories, were they helpful? Actually, there were two general themes to the stories I found. And the first type, adventurous mortals managed to escape from their contracts by using their wits. And then the second type? The second type involved adventurous mortals trying to escape from their contracts using their wits, only they were outsmarted by the devils and had their souls taken. Okay, let's stick with the first type. What did you learn? In the stories, the mortals always escaped their contracts by either finding some type of error in the contract or proving the devil broke the rules somehow. And my timer's about to go off, so I'm going to go to the next video when we're going to continue this bantering about with devilish contracts. You're an idiot, Faras. You're an idiot. See you in a moment.